You're working hard, showing up early, staying late, crushing your targets, being a team player, and every year you get your performance review. Your boss tells you you're doing great, and then they give you a 3% raise. Wow, a whole 3%. That'll definitely change your life. Oh wait, inflation is 4%. Congrats, you just got a pay cut disguised as a raise. Here's the truth nobody wants to tell you. Your current job is designed to keep you exactly where you are. Not because your boss hates you, not because you're not good enough, but because the entire salary system is a scam built to minimize how much they pay you while maximizing how much work they get out of you. And today I'm going to break down exactly how this scam works and why loyalty is literally costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars over your career. Let's get into it. Your raise is actually a pay cut. Let's do the math. You got a 3% raise this year. Your boss acted like they were doing you a huge favor. You probably said thank you. Maybe you even felt grateful for like 5 seconds. But here's the problem. Inflation this year was around 4%. Quick math. 3 is less than 4. Your groceries cost more. Your rent went up. Gas is more expensive. Everything costs more, but your paycheck barely moved. In real terms, your purchasing power went down. You can buy less stuff with your raise than you could last year. That's not a raise. That's a pay cut with a bow on it. And this happens every single year. The average annual raise in America is about 3 to 4%. Inflation averages around 3%, sometimes higher. So at best you're treading water. At worst you're slowly drowning in rising costs, while your company acts like they're being generous. Meanwhile, the CEO just got a 20% bonus, and the company bought back $1 billion in stock. But sure, they can't afford to give you more than 3%. They're really struggling. Thoughts and prayers for the shareholders. The loyalty tax is bankrupting you. Here's a fact that should make you irrationally angry. People who stay at the same company for more than 2 years earn 50% less over their career than people who switch jobs regularly. 50%. That's not a typo. That's not an exaggeration. That's actual research. Companies love loyalty because loyal employees are cheap. They don't have to compete for you. They already have you. You're comfortable. You know the system. You've got friends there, so you stay. And they exploit that by giving you the bare minimum raises while hiring new people at way higher salaries. There's a term for this, the loyalty tax. You're literally being penalized for being a good employee who sticks around. Meanwhile, the new guy who just got hired to do the same job as you is making $20,000 more because the company had to compete to get him. You trained him, you're better at the job, and he makes more than you. Make it make sense. Companies budget for retention raises differently than hiring budgets. When they're hiring, they need to offer competitive salaries to attract talent. When they're giving you a raise, they just need to pay you enough so you don't quit. Those are two completely different numbers, and the second one is way lower. Your company is basically saying, we'll pay you as little as possible until you threaten to leave, and then maybe we'll match what you could get elsewhere. That's not loyalty, that's exploitation with a pizza party. The annual review scam. Corporate theater at its finest. Let's talk about annual reviews. You sit down with your boss, they tell you all the things you did well, maybe mention one thing to work on so it seems balanced, and then they hit you with the number. 3.2% raise. You're exceeding expectations, but somehow that translates to barely keeping up with inflation. Here's the secret. Your raise was decided months before that meeting. It was decided by HR, by finance, by executives you've never met. Your boss has almost no say in it. They're given a budget, usually 3 to 5% to spread across their whole team, and they have to figure out how to split it up. So when your boss says, I fought for you, they might have. But they were fighting over crumbs. The real money was never on the table. That meeting where they tell you you're valued and appreciated? That's theater. It's designed to make you feel good about getting screwed. And the worst part? They'll use comparison to make it seem like you got a good deal. Well, the average raise was 3%, and we gave you 3.5, so you should feel lucky. Wow, an extra 0.5%. That's an extra like $30 a month before taxes. Truly life-changing money. I'll definitely be retiring early now. The whole system is designed to gaslight you into thinking you're being treated fairly when you're actually being underpaid. It's like if a restaurant served you half a meal and said, well, most people only get a quarter meal, so you should be grateful. No, I should get a full meal. I paid for a full meal. Your coworkers are making more than you and nobody's talking about it. There's this unwritten rule that you're not supposed to talk about salaries with your coworkers. You know why that rule exists? Because if you did talk about it, you'd realize how much you're being underpaid compared to the person sitting next to you doing the exact same job. Companies love salary secrecy because it prevents you from knowing your market value. If you don't know what other people are making, you can't negotiate effectively. You're flying blind, and they're taking advantage of that. Here's what actually happens. You've been at the company 5 years. You started at $50,000. You've gotten 3% raises every year. You're now at about $58,000. Meanwhile, they just hired someone fresh out of college to do your job, and they're paying them $65,000 because that's what the market rate is now. But you don't know that because talking about salaries is unprofessional. No, you know what's unprofessional? Paying someone less for the same work just because they've been there longer and you know they won't leave. That's unprofessional. That's exploitation. But they've convinced you that you're the bad guy for asking what your coworker makes. Some states and companies are starting to require salary transparency, and guess what's happening? People are realizing they're underpaid and demanding more money. Shocking. It's almost like secrecy was benefiting the company and hurting employees this whole time. Who could have seen that coming? Promotions are a scam too. More work, same money. Let's say you finally get promoted. Congrats, you're now a senior whatever you are. You get a fancy new title, more responsibilities, more meetings, more stress, and maybe a 10% raise. 10% sounds good, right? Wrong, because that 10% barely covers the extra work you're now doing. You went from 40 hours a week to 55 hours a week. You're now managing people, dealing with problems, attending strategy meetings. Your hourly rate might have actually gone down when you factor in the extra time. And here's the kicker. That promotion probably should have come with a 20 to 30% raise to match market rates for that position. But they gave you 10% because you were an internal promotion. If they hired someone external for that same role, they'd pay them way more. But you were already there, so they got you cheap. Companies love promoting from within because it's cost-effective. They can give you a title and a small raise, and you'll work harder because you feel valued. Meanwhile, if they hired from outside, they'd have to pay market rate. You're literally being punished for being promotable, and let's be honest, half the time that promotion comes with zero raise. They just give you the title and the extra work and say the raise will come in the next review cycle. Translation, never. Or they'll say, this is a lateral move, even though you're clearly doing more work. It's insulting, but people accept it because they think it's resume building. Maybe it is, but you're building that resume on a discount. Switching jobs is the only real raise. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The only way to get a real raise is to leave. Job hopping isn't just acceptable anymore, it's financially necessary. The days of working at the same company for 30 years and retiring with a pension are dead. Companies killed that loyalty by refusing to reward it. When you switch jobs, you're not competing with your current salary. You're competing with market rate. And market rate is always higher than what you're currently making. I've seen people get 30, 40, even 50% raises by switching companies. Not because they suddenly got better at their job. Because they finally got paid what they were worth. Your current company will never give you that. They can't. Their HR policies don't allow for big jumps like that. But when you're a new hire somewhere else, those policies don't apply. You're a fresh slate. You can negotiate hard because you have leverage, they want you, and you can walk away. And here's the beautiful part. Once you leave and get that 30% raise, your old company will probably try to counteroffer. They'll suddenly have budget they didn't have before. They'll match or beat your new offer, which proves they could have paid you that the whole time. They just chose not to, because you weren't leaving. Never accept the counteroffer, by the way. If they only valued you enough to pay you fairly when you threaten to leave, they don't actually value you. They're just trying to avoid the hassle of replacing you. You're still leaving eventually, you've just delayed it and given them time to replace you on their terms. They're paying new hires more than you. This is the part that makes people's blood boil. You've been grinding at this company for 5 years. You know the systems, you train new people. You're basically holding the department together with duct tape and spite. And then you find out the new hire is making more than you. How does this happen? Simple. Market rates go up over time, but your salary doesn't keep pace. When the company hired you 5 years ago, $50,000 was competitive. Now for that same role, they need to offer $70,000 to attract anyone decent. But they're only giving you 3% raises, so you're at $58,000. The new person is making $12,000 more than you for the same job with less experience. And your company is fine with this, because hiring you at $70,000 to match the new person would set a precedent. They'd have to raise everyone's salary. Can't have that. Better to just hope you don't find out. This is why salary transparency is such a threat to companies. Once you know what the new hires are making, you realize you're being scammed. And then you have two choices. Demand a raise and probably get rejected, or leave and get what you're worth somewhere else. Most people choose option 2, and they should, because companies have made it clear that they value fresh blood over loyalty. So give them what they want, become fresh blood somewhere else, and get paid like it. The skills you're building aren't making you more valuable here. You're working hard, learning new skills, taking on more responsibility. You think you're building value, and you are, just not at your current company. Because your company already knows what you're worth to them, and that number is based on what they hired you at, not what you could make on the open market. You learned a new programming language? Cool, you're still getting 3%. You started managing a team? Nice, here's 5%. You single-handedly saved a project that would have cost millions. Wow, here's a gift card to Starbucks and 3.2%. But if you took those same skills to another company, they'd pay you 30% more, because they're evaluating you based on your current skills and market value, not what they were paying you 3 years ago when you knew way less. Your company is getting increasingly skilled labor for the same price. You're appreciating asset that they're treating like a depreciating one. It's like if you bought a car, and every year it got faster and more fuel efficient, but you kept insuring it like it was the same car you bought years ago. You're getting a better deal every year, and the car is getting screwed. So there it is, the salary scam in all its glory. Your raises don't keep up with inflation. Loyalty costs you hundreds of thousands of dollars over your career. Your annual review is corporate theater. Your coworkers are making more than you. Promotions are more work for barely more money. And they're paying new hires more than you, while expecting you to train them. The system is designed to keep you underpaid and grateful for crumbs. But here's the good news, you're not stuck. The power is in your hands. Update your resume. Start interviewing. See what you're worth on the open market. You'll probably be shocked at how much you've been leaving on the table. Companies don't reward loyalty anymore, so stop giving it. Your allegiance should be to yourself and your financial future, not to a company that would replace you in a week if it made financial sense. Play the game the way they're playing it. Job hop every 2 to 3 years. Negotiate hard. Get what you're worth. And if your current company wants to keep you, they can pay you what you're worth right now. Not when you threaten to leave. Not when you have another offer.